where to begin, where to begin. Of course, yesterday, last night, at Summer Game Fest, we got the Rebirth trailer that we were anticipating for, and it definitely came through. I'm very excited. I'm going to dive into everything that I just want to get out on my opinions with the Rebirth trailer, and I'm hoping that you guys can join in with me in the comment section below. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you are all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Of course, I've got you covered with timestamps in the description down below, so if there's a certain point you want to skip forward to, feel free, watch this video how you want, whatever floats your boat. All I ask is for you to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like the content, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of that content, and of course, the comment section below is where you want to be. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we got the trailer, and before I start kind of gushing about it and being so positive about it, because you can see just the mannerisms I'm giving you, I am very positive about that, I want to give you my kind of stance on the Remake project as a whole, so you know where I'm coming from when I'm talking about anything Rebirth related. So I am a massive fan of OG Final Fantasy VII. It was my first Final Fantasy VII. I'm very nostalgic for it, but at the same time, I'm always into it. Like, it's a game I can always go back to and play because it was just so pivotal in my life, and it continues to be that. When the remake came out, I was like, yes, we're going to get a remake of Final Fantasy VII. Finally, after teasers with the PS3 trailer and everything else in between, I was ready for it. But what I wasn't ready for was how this remake project was going to pan out. It has been absolutely incredible. I'm from the standpoint of, like, I know OG Final Fantasy like the back of my hand. And when I went into Remake, I was in the same boat that I was when I played OG Final Fantasy VII. So I was familiar with what was going on, but I had questions. I had lots of questions. Like, my favorite game is still getting me to ask questions in 2023, and it's going to get me to continue to ask questions into the future. And that, in my book, is incredible and makes it such a good time to be a Final Fantasy VII fan. That's just my perspective and how I've been handling the remake project. I'm just excited. Anything Final Fantasy VII, I will digest however I need to. And there is a reason why you go through YouTube and see people's reactions being longer than that 3.5 minute trailer, because they're in the same boat as me. They are like flabbergasted on what's going on. So let's get into this trailer that we got. Without getting too deep and diving into the rabbit hole, I am a fan of all the theories that are going off at the moment. There are some that I agree with, there's some that I disagree with, but I just love looking through every single one of them. And where is my stance on the theories? I'm going to keep that close to my chest, but I have no worries going forward with the remake project. So we got all these typical story beats, through the locations that we're going to visit, to the more focused, story-driven narrative things that we're going to get with each individual character. I'm really looking forward to it. And looking at the trailer, one thing I want to touch on is Yuffie. Obviously she is here, but when does she join the party? I think that she's just going to join like she does in OG, and I'll be able to go in that a little bit more detail when I talk about certain combat things. But I think you're going to meet her between coming out of the Mithril Mines and going to Junon, like you did in the original. But it isn't going to be optional. It's going to be like a scripted scene that's going to happen in a forested area, or maybe where Fort Condor is. Is Fort Condor still going to still be there? We don't know. But it's going to happen between there and Junon. So I'm very excited for that. And I just kind of want to step back from the story stuff, because there's a lot of people out there that do things like that better than I do, and I suggest just looking at all the theory crafters like I've been doing, watching all of them and just making our big brains go wild with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I actually want to move on to gameplay, because the gameplay that we've seen looked incredible. It got me more hyped than the story. The story just gave me questions and kind of got me excited in that aspect, but what we're going to actually do in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has me more excited. It's quite clear to me that exploration is going to be so much more flushed out, and there's going to be so many nooks and crannies that we can explore with the world. It looks massive. You can see that by looking at the little compass at the top and just the scope as Cloud and the gang are just running through the overworld. I do think that this overworld is going to be split into sections, but I don't think we're going to have any kind of loading screens. There may be like a thin wall that we may have to shimmy through, but I think it's going to be broken up in parts, and I think we're all going to be on the same wavelength with that one. For example, we're in Calm, and I think Calm, the Chocobo farm, and like the marshland is all going to be in one big section. They're still going to be there to explore, and we're going to be able to go to each location back and forth if we need to. But as soon as we go into Mithril Mines, it's going to be seamless, but then we're in the mines, and then we're going to come out the other end, and then we're going to be heading towards where Fort Condor is and where Junon is, and I think that's how it's going to be broken up. I think I'm going to be jumping too far ahead when I'm thinking, well, how can we traverse this once we're in a high wind or in a buggy? I don't want to think about that right now. I'm just looking at the here and now, and that's what I'm getting with, hoping it will look as seamless as it does. Another reason why I think it may be split into sections is the huge Mako pipes that we keep seeing through all of this overworld exploration. I think with how massive these are, we are not going to be able to traverse over these massive Mako pipes. I think they're there to just kind of segment the world just a little bit, keep it linear, but not linear as in like what we got when we were exploring Midgard. On the subject of locations, let's talk about the locations that we actually seen in the Rebirth trailer, and then kind of think what we can actually expect with other locations that may appear in Rebirth. So in chronological order, we had Calm, we seen the Chocobo farm, the Mithril mines, we seen Junon, we were on the ship because of the Genova boss battle that was taking place in the trailer. We also have Cosmo Canyon, thanks to the nice CG cutscene with Bugenhagen. Really can't wait to experience it. And that's about as far as it comes with the locations. Obviously Nibelheim is in there, but the only context we have with that is through the flashback told at Calm. So we can assume if Cosmo Canyon is the furthest place to visit, that we are going to be going to places like the Marshlands, where the Midgar Zolom lays in wait for the party. Whether it's going to be story beat or it's going to be an optional fight, who knows, but it's definitely going to be there because it is a fundamental factor when you first visit the world map in Final Fantasy VII, because you don't know what it's going to do. You get caught in that boss battle and you get absolutely wiped out. So I'm really excited to see how they handle it. Of course, we have Fort Condor between the Mithril Mines and Junon. After we've come off the ship, traveling from Junon, we get to Costa del Sol. Then we have Mount Coral, going into Coral, going to the Gold Saucer, then travelling across to that random little house where we can get Great Gospel for Aerith. And then of course we have Gongaga and we have Cosmo Canyon. So that is quite a big range of places to visit. Whether we visit them all, I don't know, but just looking at the furthest point that we've seen in the trailer, we can assume, playing the original Final Fantasy VII, that we're going to visit those locations as well, and that gets me very excited. From locations to traversal, we've seen Cloud and the team on Chocobos, except Red 13, because I assume that he is going to be running alongside you, which is going to be awesome. I don't know if they're going to kind of take like a Xenoblade approach with the party members all kind of like running alongside you, regardless of the three that you pick, because we did see in some of the combat scenes that other characters are standing in the background ready to be thrown in or out through maybe a PHS system. Another thing to note with the Chocobos is that you can dismount and call them with R1, and there was an option to scent and scour the overworld, so maybe we're going to get some Chocobo mini games related to the Chocobo farm where we have to hunt out items, or maybe there are secret items or materia that we can find in the overworld with the Chocobo. Maybe there's a piece of materia like the Chocobo lore that may be expanded upon to help this or kind of enhance it a little bit more, but I'm really excited to see with the Chocobo Sidequests because there's such a vast land to explore. Like when I mentioned with the seamlessness, when we have like Calm, we can travel to Chocobo farm with no transitions or black screens to kind of go through these areas. I think that these areas are going to be like non-combat areas, so as you enter those areas, you'll notice that the HUD will fall, like you won't have the party that you're with, and then the party may disperse to set locations where you can talk about the story or the journey so far, the unknown journey so far. But we've seen that when they visited the Chocobo farm, that Aerith and Red 13 were just there. I'm hoping that in all these areas that we kind of visit where there are no monsters, that it's a nice seamless transition to do that. Exploration, locations, and everything else in between, in a nutshell, I'm really looking forward to. This is on a much bigger scale than Remake, and I'm really looking forward to see where they go with it. Let's move on to the combat, and the combat is looking very exciting and very, very engaging. We obviously have two more members to the team, Yuffie and Red 13, what we've seen in this trailer, and of course, from our experience with Intermission, we know that Yuffie's combat is very, very cool. I'm hoping that's been adapted to all the characters. Red 13's combo set and all of the little things as well looks really insane, and I'm ready to kind of experiment with all these party members. If we can switch them in and out and have combos and have aerial combat, it's going to be incredible. Like I mentioned with the exploration, I do think that we can switch party members as and when. Maybe it's related to that new UI element with the little squares. I think there's 5 that fill up. Maybe that's like the max that we can switch party members in and out to kind of do combos. But we, like I said, we've seen Tifa in the background of one of the locations as we were fighting with like Cloud, Red 13 and Aerith, so it's going to be a real treat to just experiment with and have a lot of fun with. Another thing I noted when it came to combat is that I think we're going to have scripted battles when it comes to our party arrangements. It looks like in the Mithril Mines we are going to be split up into 2 teams, Tifa, Aerith and Cloud, and Red 13 and Barrett, so they can kind of get their bromance going on. But we've seen 2 different boss fights that took place in the Mithril Mines. We've seen Cloud, Aerith and Tifa go against Elena and Rude, and then we've seen Red 13 and Barrett go against this like Mithril rock monster in the Mithril Mine. So I'm expecting there to be story beats where the parties will be split into 2, and it gives us an opportunity to kind of see how these characters work together in Rebirth, because it's definitely been expanded upon. Now I would love to just keep on speaking and praising, getting excited and hyped for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I respect your time. You're probably like me, that's sifting through so much content at the moment, and I'm hoping that you did have a good stop with me to chat about Final Fantasy Rebirth. I do appreciate your time. I'm really excited for Rebirth, with Final Fantasy VII being like my favorite of all time. I'm playing it OG at the moment. I'm going to be replaying through Rebirth. I might even go back to Crisis Core. I'm going to watch Advent Children, and of course I'm going to be doing some Ever Crisis stuff either on this channel or another channel I have set up ready for it. So there's a lot of things to look forward to, and I'm hoping that you can join me on the unknown journey with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.